fellow family. And, you know, it's been a long time that I'm a member of this family. And I so enjoy to see everyone. And even to pick up the phone and say, show up tonight. Okay? So, I want to talk, and thank you, Pam, for that currency. Thank you, Julie, for that history and movement. I want to talk about a wonderful experience that I had. And that as I was preparing to retire from Peace Action, Wisconsin. When I say Peace Action, Wisconsin, I got to divert right here. I got to give a shout out to Vets for Peace. And people should know. People should know that the movement around militarism and climate started right here at Peace Action, Wisconsin. And we have led that internationally and nationally. And just the other day, 7 Vets for Peace were arrested at the White House over militarism and climate. Yay, Vets for Peace. So National Peace Action had asked me to represent Peace Action at the 60th anniversary of the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I did that shortly after I retired from here. And I tell you, it was such a wonderful and unbelievable experience. And hugely international. And hugely multi-generational. Over there, kids would be in the malls, grade school kids, getting petitions signed to end nuclear weapons. Every day I saw them in the malls. I spoke at Hiroshima. I spoke at Nagasaki. At Nagasaki, I spoke before 5,000 people and gave them the currency that Pam did for you today and that Julie did for you today. But I also ended my speech by saying, this is the day of the memorialization of Nagasaki's bombing. And I told them about you. I told them about Peace Action Wisconsin. That very night, our members would be on the Milwaukee River. That we would be folding origami cranes with our children to tell the story of Sadako. That we would be making lanterns ourselves, as they were in Nagasaki that day. And then we would float them in our Milwaukee River in memory of that. And I spoke very directly in terms of this was happening all around the United States in over 100 cities. This solidarity, this memorializing, so that it would not happen again. No more Hiroshimas, no more Nagasakis, no more nuclear weapons. The next day I was getting ready to return. And I went down to breakfast with one of our guides, one of our associates over there in terms of our sister organization in Japan. And one of the staff people came to my room and said, George, there's a delegation here that wants to meet you, that wants to show you something. And we all had breakfast together, and they said that they wanted me to join them for a walk. Good thing it's not today, but to join them for a walk in their neighborhood. And as we walked, they told me about their museum of contrition. Now, all the people that I've worked with nationally in National Peace Action and in other organizations had never heard about this museum. They said it was a people's museum. It was their neighborhood museum. And as we walked, as in many communities, you know, the bigger houses are on top of the hill in the neighborhood. And there was a big hill, and there was a 3-story home. And we went to that home. And in that home, they had put together displays of their sins toward the rest of the world. Wouldn't that be nice if we did that? Yeah. They had put together displays that began in the basement in terms of colonial times. As Europe colonized the Americas and Africa, Japan colonized Asia with a lot of the same methodologies. Take your name away from you, take your culture away from you, and didn't get much abuse, sad to say. And I'm not saying this to be negative, I'm telling you their story about that, why they did not ever want to forget what they had done. The next floor, the first and second floors were about World War II. And we do have young children. I don't want to be very descriptive, but I will tell you, it was a very descriptive museum with thousands of photographs. Thousands of photographs, and we know that war is darn ugly for everybody. But on their part, their sins especially in terms of abuse of women, pictures of 50 shacks with 50 soldiers in line waiting for one woman. And this moved with their armies. And there were letters from the women who were abused physically and sexually, but there were letters from the soldiers who, once they got back home and with their families, realized the horrible things that they had done. Again, keeping this in mind. And they built this neighborhood museum for their children, so their children would never walk down that path again. And the second floor and the attic were about nuclear war and why it wasn't necessary. And I'll tell you, to be at those ceremonies and to hear the names of people who passed away that year from the bombs on that city of Nagasaki, passed away. I'll tell you, it was one of the most, not only enlightening, I knew some things, but I learned a lot of things. But again, they had done this so that their children would understand and that they would do their best to not have their country go down the road of war and abuse. And I'll tell you, it was so enlightening and at the same time so tearful. And I really appreciate that time. I'll never forget that time. You know, wouldn't it be nice if our Congress had a day of contrition? Yeah. That our CIA, FBI, and everyone else had a day of contrition to say we shall never do this again. No more Hiroshimas, no more Nagasaki's, no more nuclear weapons. Peace and love.